Good evening, Danvers. Today is May 2nd, and we're doing our show from the DCAT facility. And we have John Toomey as the co-host, and Matt Duggan, who is our guest co-host.
Good evening.
Special co-host. So we've invited Matt to give us his opinions on the issues for this week. This week, we want to make sure that we address the issues in regards to the elections and the budget and warrant articles. So first things first, just as a follow-up, next Tuesday, May 7th, is the town election, and we have elections for various 3-year terms for the Board of Selectmen, 3-year term for the school committee, and other associated, there's only one contested race, basically for the library trustees, I believe.
Yes.
And the rest are all town meeting members. So I think I'm a town meeting member, you a town meeting member.
Yes.
There's only a few town meeting members.
That are contested.
Yeah, Precinct 4 has the most contentions.
Which is great. That's the way it should be. The one thing that we want to encourage is go to the polls. If your name is not on the ballot and you want to participate as a town meeting member, what you need to do is write in your group that you're with or your neighborhood. Have them go to the polls and write in for the position of town meeting member in your precinct. Because otherwise it's going to be done by a caucus of the precinct, and that's not really a true election. It's a appointment of a volunteer. So what we need is we need town meeting members that are truly representative of how their precinct operates and how many issues they have. So town meeting members, what do they do, Matt?
Well, they're supposed to represent their constituents at front of the Board of Selectmen, or just bring things of interest or of concern to their attention. But unfortunately, I don't think that happens as often as it should.
Well, how do you get a hold of a town meeting member to give your opinion?
Well,
There should be some sort of method. I don't know, a list or something that the public in general can access. I mean, right now,
yeah, we just
town
know
meeting members are sort of like a hidden group.
Yeah, all we know is their addresses. We don't have their phone numbers or their email addresses, so it's very difficult.
How do you get their address?
Well, it's posted on the town's website.
Well, there's also a valuable source of information, statistics and elected officials and committees and everything else in our Town of Danvers annual report.
How do you get a hold of that?
We get that at the annual town meeting,
Who's we?
the town meeting members.
Well, see, that's...
There you go. So that's another issue. I believe that it is available on the town website. But the thing that I don't understand is everything seems to be shoved into that website, and a lot of people don't go to it because they don't need to be there, but they do need this type of information. So the town of Danvers 2018 annual town report, which was for calendar year 2019, is available at Town Hall. I got mine because I'm a town meeting member. When I went to town meeting, that's when I...
All right, so the average citizen can go to town hall.
Correct.
And get this.
And there is a list of all town meeting members by precinct, by position
Does it
on
give them
finance.
an address?
They do give an address and the term of their expiration
so
of
they
their
can
position.
look up the telephone number.
We
No.
still have
Why not?
white pages, don't we, someplace?
No,
Yes, we do.
we don't have landlines. We use cell phones.
That's the problem. That's part of the problem. So I think maybe one of the suggestions is maybe to give a telephone reference
Sure.
in this document, because that is the primary way people communicate now. So that's what's coming up May 7th, which is next Tuesday. Go to the polls. I will try to be there. Maybe John can, come with me, or Matt, and we'll just take a quick look around and see how few people will be voting, because the prediction is between 8 and 10% of the voters, which we have probably 24,000, 23,000 registered voters.
Now, let me say this now. An awful lot of people I do talk to have questions, they have complaints, but they don't do anything. They don't vote. And if you don't vote, you have the town running by people that actually don't represent you. So get out and vote.
Well, complacency is the motto around recently in the last few years.
Unfortunately,
because it's unfortunate that it's happening, but we need to energize the population to get to vote. That's the key. All right, so we'll take care of voting. What I like to do is just give a brief description of the budget. And I sat through watching the budget, and it is roughly $140 million. A lot of it, well, some of it is funded through tax receipts. Some of it is funded through state receipts for education and for transportation. And a lot of it is funded through fees and fines and your police tickets, traffic violations. But the majority of the funding for the budget is through real estate tax assessment and receipts that the town gets from us. The one item on that list that every year increases by at least 2.5% to 3% is the tax receipts. Other items, in this case, in this year, other items have grown quite a bit, because the state is distributing more funds. And also, we, in our wisdom, last year approved a budget that was higher than what was required. And I personally think that budget was approved because it's supposed to be a balanced budget. And all the funds were included in the budget, and also the excess of the budget line items is now being returned to free cash. An oxymoron, like we've always been saying, free cash of, I think it was $6 million.
Well, see, that's the term you're using is balanced budget.
That's right.
That means that you're supposed to raise the amount of money you're going to spend.
Correct.
And when you have excess money, you have extra money, you raise more money than you're planning on spending. And they give you all sorts of excuses for that. But the reality is they dump this all into free cash, which gives them more or less a bank account. They can deal it out and do what they want with it.
And that's what is happening, because many of the warrant articles are being funded by the free cash, which is excess receipts that they manipulated in the budget to be available for spending.
And when you go to town meeting and you say, oh, this warrant article is being paid for out of free cash, oh, well, everybody just says, well,
That's
let's
right.
go through it.
That's the oxymoron. And I think we need to start using that term a lot more, because to me, the tax collections, I'm talking about the dollar value of tax collections, not the tax rate, not the assessment, but the tax collections that they receive every year, is higher than is needed to support the budget, because all our line items, a lot of the line items are inflated. So one of the things that I noticed on the line items looking at the budget is all salaries and positions are higher, 6, 7, 8% higher than last year. So the thing is, we're manipulating the budget. And the thing is that the money is being spent for worthwhile purposes. It's a savings account. But the thing is, the more money they collect, the more money they will spend. Matt, you feel that way, or am I just going off on dead center?
No, I think the town is managed fiscally in a enviable way compared to some other towns on the North Shore. But we're under a lot of pressure to repair our schools, our water mains, and just provide other infrastructure improvements. So I think it's difficult for the average man to really understand how the money's being truly distributed. I think salaries and benefits are, I think they're a bit out of touch with what the
marketplace.
Typical, most people, if they can get a 2 or 3% raise, they're doing very well. So,
well, the thing that I've noticed, and I've been watching this situation because that's of interest to me. I don't know, I'm a numbers guy. Everybody in town hall is a director now. Everybody has a position that's much higher than what was 10 years ago. The reorganization in town hall by the current town manager has basically made everybody a director and in charge of their own departments. And there are more departments than there used to be. The one thing that I noticed, and I'll mention this, is the town charter dictates that the accountant is one of 2 people that are appointed or hired by the Board of Selectmen. In this reorganization, the accountant position has been downgraded to such a level that it doesn't even appear on the directors or managers of the departments. So there's something that I don't like personally, because that is the watchdog of the Board of Selectmen and the town manager to keep track and monitor the spending, and that the spending is proper and adequate.
So a fiscal watchdog.
That's what the accountant's supposed to be.
Yeah, but unless the average citizen gets involved and tells the selectmen what they think, the selectmen are going to do as they darn well please.
And they're doing it now.
Yes.
And they're allowing the town manager to reorganize, pushing the accountant out of the position that he or she were supposed to be. So that's just a thought, because that's something that is unrealistic according to what the town charter states. And the town charter is very clear on that. But now they have started demoting that position to the level where the town doesn't even, have anything to do with that individual on a daily basis.
I think the thing that startles me most is the very simple fact that, I think the town is run very well.
Absolutely.
Compared to many of the towns around us, we're doing very well. But at the same time, every year for the past 11 years, our tax rate has gone up. So,
and don't expect it to go down,
well,
John.
the point is, we're doing well, but we're spending it. I mean,
We are, and the issue is, are we spending it properly and in the right buckets that we need to spend the money?
well, see, that's the question. Are we? We really don't know for sure.
Well, look at some of the numbers in there. So, what I like to do, Matt, you want to say anything about the budget itself? Because we're going to jump into the warrant articles.
Well, I think it's a challenge, right? So, you're trying to disperse monies where they're needed most, and things like salaries and benefits, you don't have any real flexibility there. So you have a smaller pool from which to draw from for infrastructure improvements and building maintenance, those types of things. But when we talk about tax increase, we see our bills. It seems from each fiscal year they go up every year. It's because our assessments go up. The values of our properties increase. We've been fortunate to see our values sometimes in the past 10 or 20 years almost double.
Right.
So we pay taxes. There's a correlation between the value of your home and the taxes and how they make it worthwhile to live here in Danvers.
Well, see, what I look at is what am I paying every year towards the real estate tax. That number has been increasing 3 to 4, maybe sometimes at 4.5%. Per year it goes up. But the thing is that everybody concentrates on the tax rate, and that's not where the tax that you pay is based on tax rate here, assessment here. They still get that much more money. Assessment goes down, tax rate goes up. Everybody's all upset because the tax rate went up, but the assessment still stays very close, and then they still get their 2.5%, 3%, 5%.
Yeah.
So the tax collections are tremendous in this town. But the one thing that I don't see is the reverence of the resident. The resident is the taxpayer. He's the bulk of what we spend in town. And the thing is that nobody considers the resident. The resident doesn't speak up, like John has been saying for years. The resident is too busy trying to make a living. And what do? They just ignore what's going on. So apathy in the elections is a result of what's going on in the background.
So the other half of that too is, yes, taxes are the main source of income, but you also have to remember what you pay for water, sewer, and electricity. There's a big income, and there's an excess in there too.
Or all the fees that we have.
And the
We have a
fees,
dog
yeah.
fee. Now they want the cat fee. Building permits are going up. Building permits, the Department of Buildings and Inspections makes money for the town. They make $1 million a year for the permits that are being processed every year. Now they're going and increasing the permit fees. If it's making money and it makes it easier for the townspeople to expand or build or improve their properties without having an increase in the fees, building inspection fees, they've always been there, but now they want to raise them because everybody else around our area has raised theirs. Maybe we should make it easier for our residents to live in this town and not pay the higher fees. The water, we're going to expect a good increase in the water use, because I've spent time at the Water and Sewer Commissioners meeting, and I looked at all their warrant articles. Oh, they're coming. They're coming at between 5 and 10% increase. Sewer, probably not as much, but it's going to be comparable. Electric is going to raise their rates for the distribution and the maintenance of the facilities, but they will not, I don't think they'll be able to raise the base rate, because the base rate doesn't change that much, because the costs of electricity from the producers, like Zuberek or other facilities, is going down. So we should be getting a benefit from the electric company, because they have $25 million sitting in the bank right now.
Don't hold your breath.
They don't know what to do with it. So, but we'll continue that battle. John, you wanted to talk about warrant articles 6 and 7.
Yeah. Basically, warrant article 6 is the amended exemption percentage. See if the town will vote to amend the additional real estate tax exemption granted under such and such and such and such to taxpayers who are granted personal exceptions on their domiciles, including certain blind persons, veterans, surviving spouses, and seniors. Basically, if you have a question, if you're saying, huh? Town Hall has a beautiful pamphlet, and it explains all of this. And it covers things that most people that I've talked to weren't even aware. If you're a veteran and you have a service-connected disability of 10% or greater, exemptions. The blind. Blindness must be in accordance with specifications of the Commission of the Blind, and you have an exemption. Surviving spouses, minor, or elderly. Yeah. Elderly applicants must be 65 years or older, and so forth and so on. There are applicants 65 years of age who have eligibility for tax deferral, and the Elderly and Disabled Taxation Fund, 60 years or older. All of these things that, if you're in any of these capacities, you should check it out just to see. They have a work-off program where the senior citizens work-off can get an abatement for working for the town. They don't pay you, they give you an abatement. It's no big deal, but it's something. And temporary financial hardship property tax deferral. There's another one on the hardship. But all of these things are available to the citizens. And if you fit the capacity, veterans, the blind, the seniors, the disabled, you should inquire. The simplest thing to do is go down to Town Hall and get the pamphlet. If you read the pamphlet, then you know whether you can go back and get the information that covers you. I think I'll let it go at that.
Well, the thing, what I think what you're trying to point out is that there are programs that are available for seniors, whether they're disabled or not, whether they're living in their home. We want them to stay in their home. And these are assistance that the town can provide. And the town has been doing this for years. Now, with these two articles, what they want to do is they want to double the amount that can be worked off or abated.
Yes.
So it's an improvement. It's peanuts in money compared to the $140 million budget, but it does assist individuals, whether they're married or not, to stay in their home and help them get through the high taxes that we pay.
Makes life easier.
That's right. So Matt, you got anything on that one? That's pretty straightforward.
I think it's not it's maybe only $80,000 a year or so, but I think it has a huge impact on people that are under a lot of pressure to, pay their taxes. So any little bit helps
That's right.
for people on fixed incomes.
People on fixed incomes, but my position over the years, for the last 25, 30 years, has been that we also need to realize that by these high taxes that we pay in this town, we are hurting our young families because they cannot live in this town because the taxes are high, the property values are high, and they cannot afford to remain or even buy into a starter home because there were no starter homes left.
Yeah.
Well, this is something that society has changed so much. I'm thinking of when I was newly married and we started raising children and so forth. My wife was a teacher, and with us it worked out fairly well, raising the kids and both working. Today, I see an awful lot of people who, this is really creating a problem. You have the husband and wife working, they're trying to raise children, and it becomes, what do you do with the kids?
Yep. So this is a societal problem throughout eastern Massachusetts, where you have middle class under a huge strain to be able to find an affordable place to live.
That's right.
That's why it's important for there's new zoning initiatives that the town is putting together that create smart growth. So where you have slightly higher density, especially like in the downtown area where you have residential on the second and third floor with commercial on the first floor. So the type of developments that were popular in the 50s and 60s, where you just had a small ranch house on a quarter-acre lot, that's not sustainable in the 21st century. So we need to rethink that, and not, we kind of, our lives revolve around the automobile. We need to get away with that. It's just move away from that.
Well, you
concept.
just said the statement that really bugs me, the automobile. The zoning proposal allows an increase in structure, population, but there's nothing in there about traffic or parking. And if you're going to increase the population, you're going to increase traffic and parking.
And while we're talking about this, I'm going to ask Nate to show us clip 9 and 10. If you can go to 9 first, because we have other clips that are in front of it, but this one is related to the zoning and to the planning effort that's happening in this town.
It's not just in Danvers either. It's the Beverly and Salem. It's regional.
See, this is an example, and I'm not sure what is an example of, but this is the old Ideal Baby Shoe factory to the right of the old fire station.
It's 20 Locust.
20 Locust Street. That was a 2-story facility for making baby shoes and office space and that kind of a facility. Now, you can correct me if I'm wrong, this is a first step in the new zoning that was approved last November. And they've added a 3rd story to the building. And they've also, if you can go to clip 10, and they've also introduced the edge of the building 20 feet, less than 20 feet, 10 feet away from the first floor residential. If I'll speak for myself. You can speak for yourself, but I do not think this is the right development against a single-family residential building right there. And I don't think the zoning that we passed is providing this kind of construction building to building, because we're supposed to be mixed use in the neighborhood. Was it Hobart Street, Maple Street, all those buildings that are going to be demolished.
Yeah, the hot water complex.
Yeah, hopefully that is going to be much different than what Ideal Baby Shoe is.
You know, we can speak. I'll speak to that later. But you know, zoning that's approved at town meeting that defines what the setbacks are, the density, those are typically overridden in front of the zoning board of appeals by applicants who complain that they have a hardship or they're looking for some type of relief. So if you saw that picture there, the setbacks are basically extinguished. They're either cut in half or they're reduced significantly, and it goes against the will of the town that have, you know, their duly elected representatives at town meeting have dictated these are what, this is how we want the zoning to be, but it's not, there's ways to get around that.
So this is not, this Ideal Baby Shoe is not driven by the current zoning that we just passed.
This isn't.
It was prior to the zoning.
This one was approved prior. There's a parking lot across the street that they have access to, because the parking is always an issue when you have increased density.
Well, that's John's issue right along.
But
I mean, he's been preaching that one, and the traffic, that intersection is tremendously heavy.
But it's not people that live in Danvers, they're people that are cutting through. People are going down through the Danvers Square area to avoid Route 62 and 128 interchange. They're finding ways to, and this is traffic from Route 95 going to Beverly, Cummings Center, Dunham Road. It's all pass-through traffic. They're not local Danvers residents.
Now, see, this is, I've been saying this for years. Danvers is the donut hole. We're surrounded. Peabody, Beverly, Salem, and people are going through us
And
to get
Middleton
to
now.
other
Yeah.
places.
Yeah.
And this is one of the reasons we have so much bloody traffic.
Yeah.
So what we like to do now is basically go through a couple of warrant articles or that John has selected for his purpose. Basically, I think the warrant articles are funded according to what money is available. And they're being funded for the right purpose in some areas. So if we go to the building facilities and the different buildings that we're maintaining for the town manager has associated so many dollars to different projects. So if we go through clip 1, I think we'll just go through, and this one is my favorite one because this is the one that we've been watching for the last 2 years. This is the new water and sewer garage, and this to the right of the picture is where the contaminated soil was stockpiled that was originally at the park.
Pond.
The Brown Pond
And then at Place
waste.
Park. Why don't you tell them where this is?
This is right on Canal Street,
Yep, 7
behind
Canal, yeah.
Salem 5 Bank. And I go through there and I always go in, take a look because I'm interested in it, because that is a warrant article, and I'll speak to it now and I'll leave it alone later. This is a warrant article that is being put in to be funded by water and sewer receipts to build an office building to the right of that last garage door There were plans there a year ago, and everything went out for bids. They got a price, and now they're asking. This was roughly $1 million at the time, because I was, involved in that discussion. Now, all of a sudden, there's a warrant article in here to be funded by the water and sewer rates, because those rates are going to skyrocket. They're looking for another $475,000, a 50% increase from what the original bid was. So
Well, that was a second bid, right? Because there was an initial purchase of like 2.5 million.
that's right.
So we're on our third iteration of price increase, and this
Right.
is what we have.
And
We have a rundown building. Like,
Oh no, that building is staying. That
I know.
building is fine.
They're
That-
going to
they're gonna
rehab the
rehab
building?
it,
They're
yes.
not replacing?
They're going to rehab it.
know.
There's going to be a new office building built to the right of that garage. So the first thing, I went to the Water and Sewer Commission meeting last night, and we're going to televise the meeting. But the first thing I asked, how can, and the warrant article says that this is due to escalation and delay in bid receipt and all that. I said, how can a project that was worth $1 million a year ago be worth $1.5 million now? The first thing I asked is, how much did the scope change? What have you included in there that is over and above what you bid last year? Well, I finally got the facts from the DPW director. Basically, there were 2 bids that they were bidding last year, and they selected the smaller of the 2 buildings. Now, what this 475 includes is the larger building.
So they're actually getting more space? It's a bigger building?
That's what it sounds like. I don't know. I cannot get the details, but what the bids are supposed to be due on May 9th. That's next week. And I'll be watching for those. I'll go for the bid opening and watch what happens, because the scope is different.
Is there a figure for the square feet?
No, I couldn't get that. But I will follow that up. So keep watching on the water and sewer garage, and that'll be coming up. John, you had a few clips in regard to the facilities maintenance and repairs and improvements. So if you want to go through clip 2, why don't you talk about that? This is the borough's, no. That's the fire station.
This is the fire station.
Well, I think we missed that one. That's okay.
Okay.
So the Borough Street was the first one. Borough Street is a complex where water, sewer, electric, and all the accounting
and data center.
And the data center are located, and the engineers are located across the street.
Yep.
So that is it's a great facility. They have plenty of space.
Well, it's in a floodplain.
That's the lower level.
Yeah.
Now they can always build a embankment around it and get over that.
Well, basically, we're going through, I want to say, a generation of updating. We're proposing a increase in the town as far as population and so forth. So we'll need an increase in the facilities that provide the services to all of our citizens. So these are the plans that are coming through now. So you can go through, SNP 3.
That's your fire station.
This is the fire station.
Next one.
And the next one is the 4. That's obviously the police department.
Now, the police department just went through a major expansion in the addition to the left, which was great. They needed it. And it was built within budget and within schedule. Yes, it was.
No, we had to spend extra, $500,000 extra.
Yeah, but you never spent it. We authorized it.
Oh,
But we never spent it because John and I went through a tour,
okay.
and the town and the police chief was very adamant about the fact that we at the town meeting, you and I were there, and the initial increase that they wanted was $500,000.
Yeah.
That was all for contingency.
Oh, okay. I
Then they
misunderstood that.
reduced it down to $200,000, and that's what was authorized by town meeting. And they didn't even spend the $200,000.
Well, I'm mistaken then.
So everything was clear. They did it within budget, and they have a facility that they like. Next one, John.
Well, I got 5. Is this?
That's 5. That's
There
the
we go.
DPW garage.
Yeah. That's about it.
So this is the one that's under tremendous pressure. They don't have enough room there for all the functions they're trying to perform. So they have, if you look on the left side, there's this trailers that they basically are working out of, and they're looking to move some of this. That's where the water and sewer is today, at this location.
Correct.
Well, not only do we have a future coming up that's going to increase the needs of the services provided by the town, but we also have basically, as far as I can see, in the past 20 or 30 years, we don't seem to have accomplished a updating of our present facilities. And this is what we're going through with all of these buildings now.
Well, we have in the past years, the town hall was totally renovated, the library was totally renovated, and now they did the HVAC system in there. The police station was expanded and improved. Fire station is basically brand new. I mean, that's 10 years old or something.
But we're still doing some repairs on that.
Well, that's the maintenance and operations of a facility, just like they did the
Yes.
roof, they do the heating system and water system, electric systems. They need to be improved, so which is fine. That's what we need to do.
Yes,
we need to
this is what
maintain it for the future.
we should be doing the future repairs and services and updating on all of these buildings. And this is why I say I think the town is being run pretty well.
Strategically, it's done well. I agree. So, could we go to the next clip?
We've run out of.
No, this is our DPW in action, clearing out the
Hydrant
fire
flushing that's going on
hydrants.
right now.
And that is the new rig that they've put on the back of their pickup trucks, so it doesn't.
No more free car washes. when
That's
you drive
right.
by.
No, but they do a great job. The one thing is that this needs to be done because what it does is it clears
sediment,
the
yeah.
water in for the sediment. Correct. So if we go to the next clip.
We're on a roulette wheel here.
Yeah, we are. We've got technical.
We'll just talk about whatever comes up.
8.
Oh, there we go. Plastic bags.
Okay, I'll do the plastic
Go
bags.
do your plastic
Go for it.
bags.
June 1st.
Is it June 1st or July 1st?
June 1st is the ban.
Well, I'll effective June 1st, 2019. Plastic bags will be eliminated in the average grocery store and service store and so forth. In other words, you better bring your own. Otherwise, if you get one from the store that you're doing business in, they're going to charge you. And that may be a surprise. You should be aware of what's coming up. Your choice, from what I can see, really is you purchase. They have all these bags, convenience bags, cloth bags, so forth. that you take in, you put all your groceries and things that you buy into them, and you walk out. You eliminate the plastic bags that you see here. Do we have another clip on this?
And they are typically single-use. People use them one time and throw them away.
Yes. Do we have another clip?
So,
I guess not.
so I'll give you a plug for those
there it
reusable
is.
bags.
There it is,
Yes.
Market Basket, yep.
Oh, okay. Here we are with the market basket. Yep.
So I'll give a plug for Zero Waste Weekend this Saturday and Sunday at the high school. East Boston Savings Bank has donated 2,000 reusable bags to the town, and they're going to be handing them out at the high school this weekend. So, for
So
people that are going to be dropping off metal or plastic waste can grab one of those.
Metal and plastic, is that what it's all
Yeah.
about?
Yeah.
Where is it?
And
this?
electronics as well. It's at the high school parking lot. It's
High school parking
yeah, it's
lot.
twice a year.
Oh, that's good.
Can you take a microwave there?
Yep, microwaves. Yes. Washing machines.
Wow.
Wow.
But there's something, Bobby, that's why I say, I keep saying this, people should read the bloody paper and see what's going on. I'm surprised at how many people are not aware that the plastic bags will be eliminated June 1st.
Yeah. Or tune into this show.
Tune into the show, and also a lot of the grocery stores are already turning into paper bags. Stop and Shop, I think, has gone into paper bags already.
Ah.
So they're slowly, adjusting. But the thing is, and I hate to be a contrarian, but there are already communities, since they adopted that restriction, are going back to town meeting and reversing those positions. But that's something that the towns that are involved in it need to determine. And the thing is, all this is doing is, if the towns around us do not comply with this restriction, then we're wasting our time.
Well, our merchants are at a competitive disadvantage. That's why it should have been a state initiative and not a
That's
local
right,
one.
if that's the case.
Yeah,
And
the
that's-
state should have dictated it. Shouldn't, or even now, the town should have said, kind of put it in place. It only was enacted through an effort from several town meeting members as a citizen's petition. So, really needs to be a governmental, dictate.
Well, to me, that's Big Brother watching over your shoulder. But that's
Sometimes
that's a
it's for the
different
best
issue.
of the society. Government does things for.
Okay, do you want to do the shuttle now?
Might as well. What is the SNP?
The shuttle is number
8.
8.
And the Article 19 on the warrant articles,
Clip
regional
8.
shuttle service. They want to appropriate money for the
Oh, there it is, right there, John.
a service from Beverly Depot to the Cherry Hill Business Park in Danvers. Now, what is this all about? Basically, it's obvious. You talk to people in town, and they talk about how terrible the traffic is. Well, one of the things that there's a group of people in town who are saying that one of the things that could solve some of those problems is getting the service, the MBTA service, to do shuttle buses through town. They're looking at Beverly, and they're looking at Peabody, and they're looking at Salem at the moment to provide better services between those cities and Boston, plus between those 3 cities. And obviously, we're right in the middle, so this would be ideal for the Danvers people. And apparently, we have an awful lot of people who do commute to work every day.
John, the current article that has been presented and it will be discussed at town meeting is for a private service. Basically a shuttle between Beverly Railroad Station, Beverly Depot, to the Cherry Hill Park.
Yes.
Yes, they got state money, and the town is going to input $15,000, I believe, which is great. But the thing is that service is typically handled by private sector. If the facilities or the companies at Cherry Hill Park want to attract people from the railroad station, I went through that in Canton, in Stoughton, in Randolph, because we had people that lived in Boston, West Roxbury, and different towns that could get to a certain point in the vicinity of our office, and we set up a private shuttle service that took our employees from the MBTA station to our office. And in the evening or in the afternoon, it took them from our office back to it was scheduled, and it was paid for private. The one thing that I don't understand is that we have got a grant. I mean, we got the money from the state somehow. But the thing is that we as a town pay millions of dollars that nobody sees because they're on the cherry sheet that are directly sent to the MBTA organization, because MBTA covers a large area.
But the point that we're making, one of the points we're making right here, is this Beverly and Cherry Hill is an example of what we could be doing. We should have a committee in town that can push the MBTA to provide better service through the town.
Now you're talking, John. The MBTA is charging us through transfers from the state
Yes.
millions of dollars. And what do we get? 2 buses coming in through the square a day or something like that?
Something like
You can
that.
see them more often now than you did 10 years ago.
There's 2 or 3 coming in at
Yeah.
Liberty Tree Mall.
Yeah.
And but it's particularly ridiculous.
It is, but they get away with it because the town of Danvers, Beverly, and Salem probably has more than we have. But we do not flex our muscles because the service is lousy, for one thing. The service is non-existent in many areas, even on the main thoroughfares. You don't see a bus on 62. And that should be a transfer from Beverly to Middleton.
We need an overall plan that would service the need that we have.
That's where MBTA is supposed to come into play. It's a public transportation organization that's supposed to service our town. They charge us for it, but they don't deliver the service.
It's obvious that they're not doing that well.
That's right. No, that's right. And even Boston, of all places, has recently said, hey, we're not going to give you the $80 million that Boston provides to the MBTA because the service was bad or non-existent in certain areas. And I don't know what actually happened with that $80 million, but MBTA is struggling to provide the service. And Boston is a little different, but we do not have access to the railroad transportation in Beverly.
Well, see, this is where I keep saying, unless the people who have these problems in town get to start off with the selectmen, nothing's going to happen. So get to it.
Well,
can I throw in one?
Just a final version of that. You hit the nail on the head that the selectmen, all they're doing is looking, or the town manager and the selectmen, are looking for an easy way out from this issue by getting a grant, which is great. That is like $300,000, and I think they're sharing it with Beverly and Salem and Danvers.
Yeah, but it's for 1 year. It's like seed money.
Absolutely. And who's going to pay the next
year.
year's bill?
We
The companies that have the employees that are participating in that service should be, the company should subsidize it.
Absolutely, and this should be a trial of how it can
Yeah,
work.
just to get it to show the feasibility of it.
All right, John,
Well-
last word.
discussion we've had all boils down to, and this is what occurs to me. The selectmen should have meetings. An individual selectman should have a public meeting where he invites all of the voters in to see him. And Teddy Spiliotis, the state rep, and the other rep do it all the time. What, twice a month they have
Right.
public meetings and they invite the individual persons in. And this is what the selectmen should do. Have the people come in and they can talk to you. They can tell you what they feel, what their problems are. And this would make a vast difference. Right now, the average person out there feels isolated. They have no way that they know of that they can get their opinion across to a selectman. And supposedly the selectmen are running the town, and therefore this is the person they want to talk to.
This leads me to the discussion we had before the show. Is it's a great idea, but maybe one-on-one it may be better, because at the public meetings that the selectmen have, it's such a frightening experience for people to stand up and talk and express their views that they feel frightened and afraid of getting,
Yeah, but this would work better where there's just one selectman.
Correct.
And people coming in. Matt, what do you think?
Yeah, I think the people should find out where the selectmen live and go knock on their front door and let them know how they feel.
No. That doesn't work. The selectmen, and I can't blame them, they don't want you coming to their home.
Really?
That's a family business. My home is my family.
Well, how else are we going to find them?
No. Well, you have a public, open door at the town meeting.
But they're
Town
never,
hall, rather.
But they're never there except during their
Well,
meetings.
that's
That's
it.
the only time,
This is
yeah.
what Teddy is a state rep. He publicizes in
Absolutely.
the Salem News. He publicizes in the Danvers Herald. He will have an open meeting for anyone who wants to come in and talk to
That's
him.
their responsibility, and that's how they feel that they need to bring people in. If
Yes.
And there are people in line sometimes for Teddy's office hours.
Depends upon what the issues are.
Yeah. So, quickly, I just want to let everybody know that Mr. Lent, the library director, has been producing a monthly library newsletter.
Yep, I saw that online.
And I am so glad that he's doing it, and hopefully that continues, because he doesn't need the advertising, but this is good for the people. The other thing is Danvers Historical Society plant sale this Saturday
Yep, at Glen Magna.
and Glen Magna. And go and find your special plants, and they do have some special plants over there. So thank you, Danvers, for staying with us. We'll be back on May 9th, which is next Thursday.
Don't forget to vote next Tuesday
And
at
we'll
the high school.
we'll give you
Vote.
the results on Thursday.
Doesn't make any difference.
It will.
I think we can predict them today.